Good morning, Pastor Ralph here. Blessings to you all on another beautiful day given to us from God above. I want to share this morning with you about my journey. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind in Romans 12. You know, from peacekeeper to peacemaker is what my life became. To serve and protect our nation to serving God. That's right. A journey from protecting our country to ministering the grace of God has become my life. What is a peacekeeper? A member of a usual armed force engaging in peacekeeping. Any peacekeeping activities overseas. What is a peacemaker? A person who tries to create harmony or make peace as by settling the disagreements or quarrels of others. That is me. Or maybe perhaps one who maintains peace through enforcement of the law, providing community safety and security. So, here is what I have to say. One who meditates peace and works towards spiritual and emotional well-being, mercy, and grace is where I live. So my journey began in 1980 as a Marine. During that time, my friends, I was active in an active church member on base, a follower of Jesus, and was called a lay leader. However, I must admit my focus was administering, protecting our country, not the grace of God. I was in that world that became developing throughout history. I developed what I called cast iron heart. On the street, I was aggressive, physical, and not reflecting the lay reader tag. After all, I was trained by guys who were tough Marines, a different era. So it is worth mentioning again that I was all true until the chaplain challenged me one night while I had another Marine by the head, subduing him. You playing around. That night, the chaplain challenged me to be different. He said, "Ralph, try to be different." It was not in my thinking to leave the Marines and become a pastor back then. I loved the job. Yep, the pay was lousy, but it was what I saw myself doing for a few years. Then, out of the blue, it happened in 1982. The church invited us to hear a guest speaker. I went to hear speaker Dan DeHaan. He was a pretty cool guy, chaplain for the Atlanta Falcons. He was also a Bible teacher, and he had long hair and a beard. Remember, 1982, Dan talked about graduating from Columbia Bible College. Sitting there, something happened to me. Not a bright light, not a thundering voice. Rather, suddenly, I knew I had to leave the job I loved, eventually to follow Christ. So I wouldn't be a lifetime Marine. I could not explain it then. I just knew it had never been on my horizon. But as I said, out of the blue, there it was, God's calling. When I told my friend, he said, think you need to be called to follow Christ. Have you been called? And I said, no, I haven't been called, but I feel it within my body that God is calling me. So I went with the gut feeling. I'd be accepted by the church after my failed speaking attempts following that. While there, community ministry was a requisite assignment. Interestingly, I did ministry for a bit and then got permission to do a Bible study at that same location at the church. Interesting in hindsight, right? So very many years ago, from into the blue in 1980 to in 1981 to 2013, I went from peacekeeper to peacemaker. A 43-year-old journey. It only took Moses 40 years to get to the promised land, right? That brings us to today, my friends. Throughout the 43 years and to this very day, my blood runs for Christ. It is quite fitting that God's call and the years of training and equipping were to make me a peacemaker and get away from the peacekeeping role. Who knew, right? Not me. Just as his call for me to go to college came out, sitting in the church in New York, His call on me to start, serve, and protect in the Marines came equally, sitting at a church at fellowship at the base church as a lay reader. The training and the growth is still going on in me. I am work in progress. The heart of the peacemaker sometimes struggles with the old heart of the peacekeeper. The battle between protecting the USA and the grace of God, the fact is both are part of a Christian life. Both essentially serving in roles created by God. This is my story and I'm sticking to it. When angered by wrongdoing or evil actions, don't allow that righteous anger to become sinful. Choose to submit to God's work, ever striving, ever creating a clean, pure heart. Let our speech be guided by grace and mercy, even when applying the law to others. In closing, I pray that I never lose the best parts of having been a peacekeeper as I serve my brothers and sisters as a peacemaker today. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God in Matthew 5:9. May God always bless each and every one of you, and may you all walk through life with Jesus Christ in your life. For any peacekeeper out there, look into becoming a peacemaker, and may God bless you. Take good care. Bye-bye.